Hey there, my name is Laufmeister, and today we are going to be going over Gangstars Cerberus versus Team Secret Game 1 Split 1 of the Evil 8 series. Before we get into the analysis of the game, I am going to be streaming both tonight and tomorrow at twitch.tv/LAUFMEISTER. Link will be in the description. I'll probably be playing Smite and Heroes of the Storm since I have no way to actually stream Vainglory as of yet. So with that all being said, we're going to jump into the picks and bans stage of the game. So first draft that's opened up. The first ban is going to be Lyra. They do not want Lyra in the hands of Team Secret. Lyra is obviously very strong with strong initiation, heals through Imperial Sigil, and everything of that sort. She's a very strong pick, and there's honestly no reason not to not have Lyra on your team, since she's an extremely strong pick, extremely versatile, and deceptively damaging. Team Secret's ban is going to be Baron. Baron is the top lane carry in the game currently, with ridiculous amounts of weapon power scaling, and a very, very quick and versatile kit. First pick that's going to come out for Gangstars is Samuel. It's going to go to Araki Zoro, who's going to be playing lane. Now, I'm going to pause real quick so we can kind of examine all the picks right now. Samuel, obviously, very, very strong. High weapon power damage, high scaling, high survivability, and a high-powered ultimate in the form of Oblivion, which will sleep targets and deal damages as well on top of that. Now, while Samuel is a strong pick, you also have characters like Lance and Kestrel who are able to make it through because they went strictly for Samuel. Now, with Kestrel and Lance, it opens up the possibility of lane Kestrel and jungle Lance. Jungle Lance, obviously extremely strong through high power weapon scaling. Excuse me. Okay. And with the high damage that comes through on Impale when he scales with weapon power, it provides for very strong early game and a very sustainable late game. Kestrel is another great pick in the jungle who is very versatile, very mobile, high damage through glimmer shots, one shot, one kill, and adrenaline, which is great for keeping her mana costs low and increasing her attack speed to make her more, to make her more impactful in fights, and you don't strictly have to build very high attack speed, even though most people will. Now, the tie between Jungle Lance and Jungle Kestrel is clear. Lance, through Partisan's technique, has much higher clear speed, in my opinion, since he can cleave and hit multiple characters within a line, making dual camps earlier in the game easier to clear, while Kestrel does better against more single targets, so the health creeps are very easy for Kestrel to clear, while Lance will have slight bit more struggle with him. So with that being said, we'll go and we'll see what the rest of the draft looks like. So we're waiting on Nettoilette's pick. Nettoilette is the roam for Gangstars Cerberus, which is the EU Gangstars team. There's Gangstars Sirius, which is the NA, and Gangstars Cerberus. So he's floating on Finn right now, who would be extremely strong, simply because of how tanky he is. He's a great frontliner, and they are going to lock in Finn. We're going to pause, and we're going to see, because Finn is, I think, probably the best pick that they could put against Team Secret right now. The biggest thing is the fact that Finn's trait, Unstoppable, makes it so that Lance is a lot less effective. Lance is very good at disrupting and locking down targets through Impale and Gythian Wall. Now, the upside of Gythian Wall is that knocking people into any structure will cause a stun, and Impale's big turn-on is the root. Now, through Unstoppable, Finn won't be stunned or rooted. Instead, he's going to only be silenced. So in higher stakes skirmishes, duels, team fights, Finn has a better chance of walking away or repositioning and not having to use Crucible or Reflex Block or Aegis for any of the stuff that comes out from Lance. So Lance proves to be less of an issue for the roam's positioning purposes, and especially when you have abilities like Quibble and you have Polite Company, which basically need to be, really close to the enemy in order for Polite Company to pull, as well as provide fortified health, and for Quibble to hit, because once it's overdrived, it stuns, and it does not have a long range, and it has a 0.9-second delay too. So not having the ability to reposition is extremely difficult with Lance on the enemy team, and I think Finn is the perfect pick to go against Lance no matter what position he gets placed in. So Tentno is going for the final pick. Tentno is going to be filling in the jungle spot for sure, since I know that Araki Zoro plays lane, and I know that Nettoilette is the roamer for Gangstar's Cerberus. But it also provides a lot of options, so we're going to see an interesting Rona pick. Rona not picked up very commonly, especially this split. You don't see her all that often. I think Rona is a little bit undervalued, simply because she doesn't have high CC, and is extremely good at really singling out targets within fights. So, final pick coming out is Skye, meaning that we are going to probably have lane Skye, whose clear is a lot weaker in comparison to Samuel's, a jungle Kestrel and a roam Lance, as well as jungle Rona, roam Finn, and lane Samuel on the side of Gangstar's Cerberus. Going into the match, I feel like Team Secret has a lot higher poke through Flurry Strike or Forward Barrage, through Glimmer Shot, and through Lance's Impale and Githian Wall, and able to really displace and punish with those displacements. While I feel like in bigger fights, I feel like Gangstars is going to have a lot more of an edge, since there's a lot more to really tie together the team. There's a bit more synergy to it, because you can use Force Accord as Finn and able to pull like 2 members. And from there on, you could simply just drop Samuel's Oblivion, sleep the rest of the target, and then Rona has perfect and ample time in order to jump into the fray and use Red Mist if she has her energy up, and is able to lock down targets a little bit easier, since especially with that, you're going to have the follow-up of Quibble, and you're going to have the follow-up of Into the Fray in order to pull everybody together again, and just make Red Mist that much stronger. So I feel like Gangstars has a big focus on synergy, just like they did in the last game that I did the analysis on. But Team Secret is going to have a very strong early game. Rona is not an early game character. She requires good team setup, and she requires items. And she needs those items in order to do more to the team. And when you have people who are relatively slippery, like Skye and like Kestrel, you're going to see Rona shine, because she's able to stick to targets pretty well, but you also have Finn, who's able to keep targets close and keep them within the fight. Excuse me. Alrighty. Now with that all being said, we're going to jump into the game, so we'll just quickly wait for the screen to die out. Actually, I think we'll skip. We'll go to the loading screen, and we'll kind of see. So we're loading in now. We're going to probably either see, just from the first items, we're going to probably see Weapon Power Skye, or it's going to be Crystal Power Skye, only having Weapon Power to help with her last hitting. But already you kind of see the thought process in Gangstars, where Araki Zoro is immediately going for light armor so that he can get the extra sturdiness that he needs in lane in order to deal with this possibly weapon power heavy composition from Team Secret. So we'll go into the game. There's not really too much going on. There's going to be the obvious starts. Araki Zoro is going into top lane, and it looks like it is going to be lane Skye, like I said, and we're going to have Kestrel and Lance in the jungle, as well as Finn and Rona in the jungle. So having Kestrel and Lance provides for very good early clear. As you can see, they already finished duos at around the 30-second mark, but they're also competing with Rona and Finn on the side of Gangstar Cerberus. Lance obviously getting very aggressive, using his early flare here in order to try and get an invade so we can get some more information, but is heavily punished by it simply because Finn can displace him so easily, and Rona has a chance to follow up with Foe Splitter. Foe Splitter, which is a two-part ability, which provides really good early damage and scales even better as it goes into the late game. You see Paimatoro kind of lagging behind a little bit as his teammate is getting, a ton of damage dealt to him because he's going for this very aggressive flare in the early game, already having to waste boots at 45 seconds into the game, which is extremely early. He's not going to have that online for another 3.5 minutes, which can be huge, unless he goes for early Traveler boots. So as we go in, we're going to see there's three Glimmer shots that are going to connect with Rona, which will deal a good amount of damage, but because of the health creep, she's going to be able to heal it right back up. They're going to lose this bottom duo camp, which is good because it means that Team Secret is now going to be slightly ahead and will probably hit level 2 before Gangstar's does. Now that Kestrel's level 2, she has the option to really deal more damage. You can see that she skips out on active camo and goes straight for Glimmer Shot. I feel like Glimmer Shot, ranking it up over active camo, is a little bit of a greedy move. It's greedy because in that scenario that just happened, you were only pushing for damage. You weren't really thinking about, well, if they go for an early invade, even though they're behind, what's the possibility that they can kill us? Now, if you're attacked as Kestrel and you haven't used active camo, you are going to not have the chance to do so for 2.5 seconds if you are attacked. And if they constantly keep attacking you, you cannot rely on active camo. So what you have to do is you kind of have to read the opponent, and you have to be like, are they really going to go for the invade here? Is there going to be a situation where I will need active camo and can therefore use it, Glimmer Shot to wherever the active camo AoE is placed, and peel for my teammate and myself if I need to? To kind of dumb it down a bit, I feel like Glimmer Shot was too greedy of a pick at level 2, and that he should have gone for active camo simply because Finn and Rona can be aggressive even at early stages of the game, simply because Finn is extremely strong at every stage, simply because of how good his kit is. So if we move on to here, Mowgli is trying to push in a little bit, misses the Impale, and Foe Splitter is going to be able to connect both strikes. Mowgli is able to toss Rona into the wall with Githian Wall, and a missed Quibble is going to not really provide the damage that is really needed. Rona's already at half HP with Palmatoro kind of pushing in, Mowgli handing up behind, and they're going to try and push in a little bit of damage. Glitter Shot connects with 2 people, and these glitter shots are great. I feel like if we look back a little bit, I'm going to go back a few seconds. You can see these Glimmer Shots, which one already connected with Nettoilette, or Finn, the Finn player, on the side of Gangstar Cerberus, and one Glitter Shot is going to connect with Iraqi Zoro. So while they're not clearing, they are providing a lot of pressure for Cavalifar to kind of farm freely. So this Glimmer Shot, the very greedy Glimmer Shot level 2, isn't really punished just yet because of how much they were able to really get poke damage in. And then also earlier, you see that the Partisan's Technique Cleave was able to get extra damage onto Tento and onto Nettoilette at the same time, bringing them down to just a little bit over a third HP, and Iraqi Zoro going down to about the same. So this gives them a lot of early control. Mowgli is just kind of... I think this is really good. I think Mowgli decided, I'm going to let Kestrel try to get into the enemy jungle so that we can push our lead even more. Everybody's at around level 2. Everybody is level 2. So they haven't really... Everybody has about one of each current active ability. But because of Palmatoro, who went for the greedy 2-level Glimmer Shot, he's going to need the early curve in order to get active camo. So I feel like Mowgli putting pressure on this area here gives him a lot of options because there's no forced accord yet. Finn can't pull Mowgli from here and pull him under the tower in order for Iraqi and Tento to kind of converge onto this spot here. So Mowgli, taking advantage of Lance's early power curve, is really able to set up this area of denial right here, which closes off 2 spots in order for them to get to their back health camp and their back duo camp. So I think this is really smart on the side of Team Secret because they're able to create this area of denial that Gangstars can't really deal with yet. So if we move on, Mowgli is just kind of hanging around now. Sky is able to get a lot of damage in with forward barrage on both Iraqi and on Tento. All three of them are in the bush, and Mowgli could have found an option to really just capitalize on that. So a good example of Lance's power curve was the auto attack Githian wall into this structure here, which brought Rona down to very, very low, about 130 HP, where an Impale and another auto attack would have killed. But the leap and Finn's reaction timing, being able to get a good forced company or polite company in, really makes it so that this play was not punished. I feel like Nettoilette is one of the strongest players, Rome players at least, in the EU side, simply because he has good reaction time and he has good decision making. And because of that, I think Mowgli is going to be punished pretty heavily. So the Quibble misses, but Malice and Verdict is able to connect. It aggroes the health creep, and then the aggro from the health creep switches over to Lance, and therefore Lance is dead. There's only 2 Glimmer shots left on the side of Kestrel, and she is out of mana. And with Arakiazoro at half mana, he's going to probably be able to outduel Kestrel. So Corrupted Genius gets him a little bit more HP, and one more auto attack is going to be able to take him down. But there's a big possibility he'll die to the health creep. So he backs up. Kavalifar is able to take the health creep, which sets the jungle back behind, and Arakiazoro is backing in a very, very risky spot. Obviously, Kavalifar is more focused on the creeps. I feel like Kavalifar knew that Samuel was going back there, but he's like, I don't really want to deal with this. I have no cooldowns, and it's going to be too difficult for me to really get anything because of Corrupted Genius. So Corrupted Genius is going to give Samuel health back and mana back because he hit a champion. So if he hits champions or heroes with an auto attack, it's roughly every 6 or 7 seconds, then he gets health and mana. So he's able to use that health and mana, probably in order to just poke at Kavalifar, so that even if he dies, Kavalifar is not going to get any value off of creep camps because he might have more trouble clearing it. So Arakiazoro is able to go back, not have to face a death, and is still 2-0 in his lane, as well as Kavalifar. So they're both on pretty equal footing. The only difference being the level lead that's coming out of Sky compared to the Samuel. So they're clearing their jungle in order to get themselves a nice EXP lead. Mowgli and Palmatoro kind of exerting dominance in their jungle, scout trapping just so they can have a little bit of vision, and then flaring into Tribush, which is good in order for them to move forward and into the enemy jungle. Nettoilette is rotating down while Rona is clearing the duo camps over by the minion mine. Mowgli is just kind of pushing himself out there. He wants to create a substantial threat in order to keep Finn away from Rona so that there is less of a chance of a 2v2 skirmish going on. Arakiazoro pushed heavily into the enemy jungle, probably for vision purposes, and he's able to just kite the rest of the forward barrage. He's going to be poking out a lot with Malice and Verdict, which is good, simply because of the high damage that comes from the ability. Excuse me. So Tento and Nettoilette are relatively behind. You can see that they're kind of spending too much time up in the lane and are letting Palmatoro and Mowgli really just clear the jungle. They don't have the vision that I think that they were hoping for and are really lackluster in what they're doing. You can see Finn has no scout mines, and I cannot see, and there's no scout mines on Rona either. Sorry, I had to unpause the video really quickly just to see. So they're really lacking in the vision department. They really need to increase their vision so that they are aware of what is happening in their jungle. Otherwise, I feel like they're going to fall very behind and not be able to catch up. Because both Kestrel and Sky are both level 4. So they're already hitting a higher power curve earlier than Gangstars, who are all level 3 flat at the moment. So in fights, the only thing that's going to matter is the matter of outplaying Team Secret because they're behind a level. And I feel like that's possible, but they do have to play careful. Simply because if they give that up, they could have the possibility of being 2 levels behind. 2 full levels behind is huge, because that means that Kestrel and Sky are going to have 2 more levels of power in comparison to the rest of Gangstars. So if we move on, they're able to clear jungle. Netwillet and Tetno are just kind of hanging out. They're not really doing much. They're moving around, just trying to, place down vision. There's a scout ward in the middle of the tri-bush, which is not a good spot simply because it's easily triggered. So it might not really get that much value. The only thing it'll really get is just, like there's a scout trap there, so there's some temporary vision. What I think they should have done is place it in either corners of the bush or even a little bit out of the way of it, simply because it'll give it less of a chance to be triggered, and therefore they're going to get more value out of their scout line. So if we push forward, all three people on Team Secret are at the top. There was a good impale from the bush into here that connects with Iraqi Zoro, and then forward barrage is able to converge onto here. So they have this very good triangle sort of placement, which gives their roam and their front line a good spot in the front, and then it gives the Kestrel and it gives the Sky two angles to attack from, and it gives them two ways to retreat. So Sky can simply go north, and Kestrel can simply go south. So it's able to make them split so that if they're both low, they're going to only be able to get value off one if Gangstars somehow turns that fight around. With Iraqi Zoro already down to half HP, a Forced Company and a Quibble is going to come out in order to push the forward. Drifting Dark is moving forward as well. Malice and Verdict connecting with Lance, but Iraqi Zoro is not really going to push for it. Palmatoro retreats into the jungle while Mowgli is slowly starting to come back up. Scout Mine in the middle of the tri-bush as well for the side of Team Secret. Palmatoro and Mowgli going for the clear, but I think Tento, Iraqi, and all of Gangstars are going to find this, so we're going to have a jump in from into the fray. A Polite Company comes in, no Quibble yet to really push any lead. Quibble comes down but misses. Tento taking a lot of damage from forward barrage, and now Gangstars are going to be able to push for the health creep in the side of Team Secret's jungle. With that, they all hit level 4, so they're all starting to catch up now, and is now putting Kestrel and is putting Lance behind because they're going to have less of a spot in order to get their creeps and get their experience. So Iraqi is now coming down to just dueling with Sky and trying to clear the lane. Netwillet coming up now to try and hopefully assert dominance. Polite Company coming out trying to fortify health and pull Sky in maybe a little bit to see if they can really do anything about it. Both sides now have minion mines, so their minions are going to be a little bit stronger, might be a little bit more difficult for the ability power characters to last hit a little bit. Forward barrage is a good tool for it, but it doesn't provide enough consistent damage, while Malice and Verdict just provides two very high damage hits, and I think is easier for harassing and is much easier for last hitting. Now Drifting Dark coming down, Malice, so this is pretty interesting. So if we move back a little bit, you could see what I mean. So Into the Fray and Foe Splitter are already used jumping onto Gavalifar. Gavalifar is forced to push back and use Suri's Strike in order to kind of dash out of the way and get out of danger of Rona. Drifting Dark is popped, and there is a Malice and Verdict coming out from Iraqi Zoro, which nails 2 shots on Gavalifar. Now the interesting part is the Quibble, or not the Quibble, the Polite Company that's pulled out from the fin here. So he's being able to be pulled in, bringing him closer to Drifting Dark, and therefore having the possibility of dealing more damage on top of the constant Malice and Verdicts that Iraqi Zoro can put out. So if we see here, Iraqi Zoro is going to be able to hit with Malice and Verdict once onto Gavalifar, once onto Palmatoro, and then the biggest mess up of this fight, I think, comes from Mowgli. So if we go back a few seconds, you can see Mowgli ends up rooting Tento, which keeps him out of the fight, which is good. But he ends up using Githian Wall and knocking Iraqi Zoro towards his already extremely low teammates, meaning that a Malice and Verdict could probably kill Gavalifar and Palmatoro. So you see that just auto attacks. One auto attack connects with Kestrel, and then full Malice and Verdict is able to kill. So Mowgli ends up killing his own teammate because he decided to Githian Wall Samuel closer to the turret, which puts Samuel in a better position and puts Lance in a 1v3 because of the initial spot that Impale places him in. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Lance go down, but he is tanky enough to stay alive. I feel like at this point Gavalifar needs to go back. Gavalifar has less than 150 HP and will die to basically anything that comes out on the side of Gangstars. Gangstars is able to almost take back the lead, only being 0.1k behind, now taking the lead at 200 gold. which is good. They're going to be able to push damage onto this tower now. And with the damage from Samuel and Rona, they're going to probably be able to take it pretty easily. Red Mist coming out, so now Rona has her ultimate and is able to really deal more damage. Everybody at level 6 now, you see the Impale coming in, knocking the Samuel into the wall. I don't think it connects, but we have Finn kind of really just soaking up all this damage. He's able to drop the fortified health, and he's able to drop a quibble in order to keep him away from the teammates. Now, the one-shot, one-kill comes out, and it takes care of Finn, which leaves them with Arakizoro and Tentno JJ. So Tentno has roughly a little bit more than half HP. Arakizoro has a lot of HP, but not a lot of mana. So Impale coming up in 4 seconds, there might not be able to really do anything in order to take advantage of the fact that Arakizoro's on low mana, but we'll see. He's going to try and put in some poke damage, but I doubt he's going to go in for the Impale. So what they're going to do, I think Mowgli and Palmatoro are going to run into the jungle, and they're going to try and look for Rona. Palmatoro is getting very aggressive, trying to push for Rona, but Rona's just going to be able to clear duo camps. Goldmine is open now, with Finn really needing to catch up in terms of placement. He's obviously back at base since he just respawned, and I feel like this is going to be a gold mine unless Gangstars gets a good steal. So the payout's collected, but Malice and Verdict is able to connect at least twice, putting Mowgli down really low. But Lifespring is going to be able to keep him alive for a little bit simply because of the high regen. So now that Arakizoro has an ultimate, there's going to be more combo potential and more initiation that comes out of Rona, since Finn is not level 6 yet. Once Finn hits level 6, then I feel like the team composition is really going to shine, simply because how powerful it really is, and because of how reliable it can be. Root coming down, Githy and Walls, 2 people in. Forward strike, one shot, one kill comes through, but there's nothing really that's going to kill. So they dash out. Lance pops Fountain of Renewal in order to keep Cavalifar alive, and Arakizoro is trying to push the lead with a Malice and Verdict. Gangstars are kind of grouping together. They're not in a very good spot, but Mowgli is not level 6. There's no real way to reposition himself. Cavalifar and Palmatoro just really have to poke. Forced Accord coming out, not going to connect with anybody. Combat Roll comes through in order to position himself, lands a 2-man Impale. Polite Company comes through. Githy and Walls, Arakizoro into the wall. Palmatoro is just poking, but Mowgli, I think, is going to go down. Red Mist comes down, and there's not really anything to do with it. It's just more of an area of denial, and Team Secret's just going to have to back up. There's nothing that we can really do here anymore. Cavalifar is extremely low. Mowgli is able to keep himself up, and Kestrel is just going to have to go back into the jungle in order to really get some more money and keep herself alive. Team Secret, Gangstars is now in the Team Secret jungle, just kind of pushing the lead. They really showed themselves. They were able to force Team Secret out of their own jungle and make it so that they really don't have a safe space within the game. Arakizoro and Netwillet kind of just hanging out in lane, probably going to try and find some way to clear the wave, and also keep vision now since they don't know where Team Secret are. Rona's just clearing the jungle, trying to push for a very early lead. Serpent Mask coming out as first item in order to keep her alive with Red Mist. Arakizoro using Malice and Verdict in order to help clear the wave. Excuse me? Now, Team Secret are kind of grouped, as well as Gangstars, so there's a possibility that a fight could break out. With a level 9 Rona, they might be able to push a lot of damage in. So Team Secret now in the bottom jungle, trying to clear out any of the jungle that they can in order to try and get more of a lead on them. Forced Accord comes out, misses. Tento jumps in. Githy and Walls Tento into the tree right there. Cavalifar going down to the damage from Samuel. Red Mist coming down, no real damage in, but Mowgli misses his Impale. Githy and Walls, 2 people in, hops over the side wall. Polite Company does not pull, but it does give the fortified health, and Samuel's going to be able to cut them off very easily. Malice and Verdict comes in, but only 1 missile connects, and into the fray kills with the AoE jump. So that was very good for Gangstars, and I feel like Team Secret need to try their best not to fight in any of the jungle areas, because they have... Gangstars has 3 characters that work extremely well in these tight corridors. Samuel works really well in tight corridors. Forced Accord just gives more of an option and less of a missed opportunity to really miss Forced Accord. So it gives them more of a chance in order to take advantage of the fights that happen in the jungle, and then you have Rona, who has big area of denial with Into the Fray, and with Red Mist, who's able to deal a lot of damage really quickly and keep herself alive because of her early Servant's Mask. So I feel like Team Secret needs to try and focus their fights on more open spots, like towards this upper side where Iraqi is in. So they need open spots in order to retreat, and they need wider spots in order to fight, so that they aren't really punished by the immense amount of AoE that Gangstars can put out. Dragonheart coming out from Net meaning that he's probably going to be going for Crucible in order to deal with the Lance and the Sky. One shot, one kill is going to connect with Net. He was trying to be cheeky there and going for the Gold Mine steal, but they're able to get Gold Mine. They've gotten both Gold Mines this game, which equals to about 325 gold, roughly, since the first Gold Mine was not completely full when taken. Team Secret now hanging on their side of the jungle, probably going to be looking around for vision, buying items, protecting their teammates while they get these early power curve items. Kavalifar going for a fast Shatter Glass in order to really push his damage. Scout Trap's triggered, Drifting Dart comes down, and Malice and Verdict comes in. Resisted, this is what I like. So because of the Fin, Impale is not only down, but it had no effect. All it does was it simply silenced Fin for about a second. But GSC is in a very bad spot. They're all crammed into this one tight corner. With Drifting Dark and Malice and Verdict down, if not just used, there's no real damage that Samuel can do. He could drop Oblivion, but it might be too late and it won't really apply anything. Now, they're all jammed in this one spot, and now everybody is on a specific angle now. So Kestrel is able to poke from the back, Sky is able to use forward barrage in this direction, and it keeps him trapped because of the Kestrel and because of the Lance. Lance, if he wants, is able to Githian wall Net and Tento JJ into the corner here, and Sky is just able to beat down on Samuel with forward barrage, and Kestrel is just able to poke over the wall. So I feel like this is probably the best spot that Team Secret has been able to get in order to really push this we are not good at fighting in the jungle's composition. This really pushes for we have high burst and we need to take advantage of it. So Iraqi Zoro is definitely going down. Palmatoro is easily able to run. Fountain of Renewal used, keeping everybody healthy. Quibble lands, but Finn still dies. Death from above coming down. Rona just running through, rooted by the Lance, and Githian walled back into Palmatoro, and they're going to probably be able to clean up, which will not only lead to an ace, but I feel like it's going to be able to give them at least the tier 1 tower. So that was probably the best fight that Team Secret could have gotten this game, especially with just how strong that the triangle really was in that specific spot, and they really just trapped everybody in Gangstars, so they didn't really have an opportunity to push forward or use any of that synergy, which needs a lot of coordination. Finn's coming in. He's going to use Polite Company. Forced Accord lands on... Not Forced Accord. Quibble lands on 2 people, stunning. Palmatoro is extremely low. Fountain of Renewal not up. Forced Accord coming down with Drifting Dark. Malice and Verdict is able to connect and kills Palmatoro. They're chasing down Mowgli. It looks like Malice and Verdict is going to connect with Kavalifar twice, and it looks like Netsualeta is going to try and push in. He goes in. He's going to go for Polite Company. He's able to get the push, but he's not going to be able to get Quibble in. But it looks like Iraqi Zoro is just going to be able to get enough damage in order to kill. Netsualeta is pushing in, and he's kind of trying to zone out Mowgli in order to keep him away so that he doesn't get any more damage in on Gangstars. So that was good. They were able to take advantage of these jungle corridors because they were able to have this kind of pre-recognized notion that, okay, Team Secret's probably invading. So what we can do is we can take advantage of our high CC and really just push in. So Into the Fray's going to get dropped. Red Mist in order to keep her alive. Githian Wall and Impaled. And it looks like Iraqi Zoro is just going to try his best to push in damage. Drifting Dark's too far away, so he's not going to be able to get the reduced cooldown. Foe Splitter jumps in on Kavalifar, brings him down to about half HP. Iraqi Zoro lands an attack with Corrupted Genius, and he gets 2 shots of Malice and Verdict and able to keep himself healthy and push Kavalifar back into the T2 tower. Netsualeta has the possibility of landing a really good Forced Accord. Forced Accord, obviously, you could see just came off cooldown. Samuel does not have ultimate, but he still has damage through Drifting Dark and Malice and Verdict. And Tento can easily build up ultimate with about a foe splitter and one into the fray. So I feel like if they simply just waited a little bit longer, Netolette could have landed a 2 hook, if not 3, pulled in everybody from Team Secret, and just simply dropped Polite Company and Quibble, and it would have aced Team Secret and given them a chance to take the T2. So we'll see what happens. Zoro just kind of clearing the lane, getting his help from Corrupted Genius, Sento JJ helping out. There's a possibility they're going to get a good amount of damage on this T2 tower, but they're going to retreat instead. They're going to probably either look for gold mine or just continue to counter jungle the side of Team Secret. Picking up items now, Netolette going for very fast ward treads in order to really push this high speed, high chase composition. Broken Myth and Eve of Harvest on Samuel now, so now he has some survivability as well as high damage. So it looks like he might either be going for Frostburn or for Shatterglass. Frostburn will give him more control. Mowgli now just kind of hanging out. Cavalifar and all of Team Secret are just kind of hanging out in the shop area, probably just scouting around. You could see that Gangstars is finally taking advantage of having more vision. Mowgli is going to be able to see the team as they walk in here, and Team Secret is going to have to react a lot quicker since Lance kind of just went in on his own. I feel like that was too ballsy, and it didn't really give his team enough of a chance to respond. So we'll see what happens. He lands the Impale and it's resisted, misses the Githian wall. Combat rolls into Iraqi Zoro in order to get out of the Drifting Dark. Death from Above's come down on Tento, and it looks like Cavalifar is trying to reposition in order to get in there. It looks like one shot, one kill will connect with Iraqi Zoro. An attack from combat roll is going to connect, but both Samuel and Finn die to the power of Sky. Sky able to land forward barrage onto Finn, and then just a few basic attacks in order to kill off Samuel. So Team Secret is able to push the lead a little bit. Probably going to give the health over to Kestrel, and then they're either going to push top lane or try and go for gold mine, despite the fact that Kestrel is in fact low. So they are going to push for gold mine, it looks like, in order to get this payout. This will put them about 300 gold ahead in comparison to the last time. So this is their first gold mine, and they're at a almost full, so 296, and which is about 2/3 of what Gangstars was able to get. Now Gangstars are behind at about 1.2k gold. So it's not the biggest power curve in terms of money, but being ahead is always important. Being even and ahead are the most important, because if you fall behind, it just means you're not getting those items fast enough, and you're not going to be able to push anything really, because you're simply just not strong enough. Force Accord comes down, Quibble hits, and now Polite Company comes in. Drifting Dark is able to connect. Malice and Verdict is able to kill off Kestrel. Malice and it looks like Samuel's just going to keep continuing to chase Lance, hopefully try and kill him off. Forward Barrage just keeps missing. Tento is just faster. He's able to move out of the way. Netolette takes all the damage from Forward Barrage, even though he did use Polite Company in order to fortify his health. And it looks like Sky is just trying to push in, hopefully trying to get the kill onto Tento. But Iraqi Zoro is coming in with Drifting Dark with the lowered cooldown on Malice and Verdict. Cavalifar is taking a lot of damage. Death from Above hits on Iraqi Zoro, but it looks like Forward Barrage is just not consistent enough. Samuel is just too fast, but a Suri Strike into another Forward Barrage is able to kill. One shot, one kill connects with Tento, dropping him down to 300 HP. I feel like if Sky kept on the target, he would have been able to kill with another Forward Barrage, but he didn't have enough energy in order to do so. So the biggest issue right now with Team Secret, even though they are ahead, is they're lacking in vision. They only have about 1 or 2 scout mines currently down, and that's one over by their health and one by the rest of the map. And it looks like the other one is actually not even there. It might just be one scout trap. But Gangstars has a lot of vision. They are very good about keeping vision, but even then, they were able to scout. It looks like Lance was able to break some of the scout traps, which kind of lowers the effectiveness, since now they're like, okay, we can kind of draw the conclusion about where these scout mines are going to be placed. They're going to go to the more predictable spots, destroy some of the scout mines, and then they're going to go to some of these less predictable spots, like in the corner of the Kraken Cove, where they might not be that obvious. But now it completely, it basically dissolves all the vision possible that Gangstars had. Netsulet going for Force to Court onto Cavalifar, but it looks like it gets reflex block, forward strike, combat roll, Impale lands on one shot, one kill misses, but Iraqi Zoro still has a possibility of going down. Fountain and Renewal and Polite Company is able to keep him alive. Tento JJ pushing onto Palmatoro, but is able to jump away into the fray. Iraqi Zoro is just looking for ways to poke. Probably get an auto attack out of Corrupted Genius in order to keep himself alive. Malice Inverted comes down but misses. He's not able to connect any auto attacks, and Netsulet's dropping really low. Combat roll auto attack, but no dice. He's way too tanky, and that combat roll damage does not do a lot, especially if you're not building any weapon power in order to enforce your auto attacks. Team Secret's just going to simply retreat. And it looks like Iraqi Zoro is going for Shatterglass. He doesn't want the control. He doesn't need the control. He's already got slows, he has stuns, and he has pulls from both Finn and Rona. Now Team Secret is just going to try and place visions in more unorthodox spots in order to either deal damage or keep the vision as well. But now it's 2v3. Gangstars is able to jump in. Polite Company comes down. Forward Barrage. Miss on the Impale. Mowgli, Githian walls Tetno into the wall. Oblivion connects, but it only hits one target. One shot, one kill into a Glimmer Shot. Keeps Netsulet to about a third HP. And Tento JJ drops from an Impale and Forward Barrage. Iraqi Zoro is extremely out of position. Glimmer shots and auto attacks from Palmatoro able to take him out. And now they just have to chase down Netsulet. A good area of denial from the death from above, and a lot of Glimmer shots into Forward Barrages just gives Sky the triple kill, and they're just able to take that fight with only one loss coming out of the Lance. They simply had better positioning than Gangstars did, and I feel like Gangstars is getting flustered because they know that they can take advantage of these small choke points, but they're not able to. So they're going to be able to take this Kraken at 19 minutes, which is extremely strong since now that everybody is roughly level 12, with Lance barely falling behind on that, I feel like they're going to be able to push a little bit more of a lead, and they're going to also get turret pressure as well. So this gives them a chance to really take care of jungle objectives, while Kraken really does all of the work in terms of taking out tier 3 and possibly some of the inner vein turrets closer towards the crystal, which means that they have less to deal with and that they have more flexibility in order to take out these turrets so that they don't have to worry about timers as much. Team Secret just pushing in, just absolutely no cares in the world. Force Accord coming down, stunned from the Quibble. Polite Company is able to pull Mowgli in. One shot, one kill does not connect. But they're going to be able to take this T3. Iraqi Zoro trying his best to really poke in, but Cavalifar is just dropping all of these forward barrages, just keeping Netsulet away. Netsulet at half health, Tento down to a third. Quibble connects on 2, but Glimmer Shot hits onto Netsulet, and they're just able to take him out. He's too far out of position, and Tento and Iraqi Zoro have already backed up. They're trying their best to clear the Kraken, but I don't think it's possible. Death from above keeps Samuel towards the fight, and Impale hits while Forward Barrage just simply finishes him off, and they're able to ace, and I feel like that's definitely game. With that being said, Gangstars made a lot of mistakes because I think they got extremely flustered. They got too nervous about the fact that they're being dominated at the game that they tried to set up with their team comp. So with a comp so AoE heavy and so ultimate heavy, like Samuel, Finn, and Rona, they were too reliant on that and not reliant on all of their own individual skill and their own individual decision making in order to really push forward and in order to really win fights. They had 1 or 2 good fights early, and then those snowballed out of control in favor of Team Secret, who were able to take advantage of their greed and kind of punish them for it. You see Cavalifar, who I think is the best player on Team Secret, without a doubt, with Mowgli and Palmatoro kind of being overshadowed by Cavalifar. I feel like Cavalifar is a very dominant Sky player, and I feel like his positioning is par none compared to the rest of Team Secret. Now, Iraqi Zoro is usually really good with positioning, but I feel like he simply got outplayed, at least in this game. So, with that being said, that will be the conclusion of Gangstar Cerberus versus Team Secret, Game 1, Split 1 of the Evil 8. I've been Laufmeister, and it's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys another time.